So we're a couple of minutes early, I think. But I've just had a mini heart attack because, is that going to balance? Just had a mini heart attack because live wasn't working, and I was like, oh my god, is it actually going to work? It would be typical for me to actually schedule a live video and then it not work, but yeah, I'll give it a couple of minutes, see if you guys turn up or not. Let me see. I'm just researching unicorns, so all will become clear in just a moment as to why I'm researching unicorns, but I'll just wait a couple of minutes and see who turns up. If you are here, I think one of you is, let me know, and let me know what you've been up to today. Hope you've had a good Thursday. Let me see. I'm researching unicorns because I'm working on the colouring book. Hello Emma Jane, how are you today? I hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a good Thursday. I'm researching unicorns because I've thrown myself right into this colouring book project, so I hope you guys like it. I'll just make sure actually that the link is working. I hope it is anyway. Hello Liv, how are you, my love? Now that we've got our heads wrapped around the time difference, I have a question. And the sticker genie, hello my lovely. I have a question. If you're UK based, me and Livy have just been trying to work out for the life of us, if you're in the States, does that mean that the time over in the UK is like, because we go backwards in the autumn/fall and then we go forwards again in the springtime, does that make it really difficult for you guys to understand what time it is? When I say we're doing a 7:30 live video, does that confuse you guys at all? I'll just wait a couple of minutes as well to see if anyone else turns up, and then we'll get talking. But I'm so nervous for today's chat, guys. I'm a little bit scared. I'll have snacks. Did you guys bring snacks? Let me know if you bought snacks. James has just laughed at me for telling you guys to bring snacks. He was like, why would you say that? But I was like, it's gonna be cozy. Don't worry as well if you have to go throughout this video. It's gonna go onto the Patreon page. Typical my schnauzer is here because she's had the rustle of crisps, but it's going to go onto the Patreon page afterwards, so if you can't stay for the whole thing, feel free to dip in and out or whatever, and you can just come back later. You're not having any crisp custard, bloody dog. Right. Let me see. Our time just changed over the weekend. So you guys have daylight savings time, don't you? Vespa's coming now as well. Can you guys, if you have pets, do you ever get to eat in peace? Pair of idiots. Right, there's like 7 of you here now, so let's get cracking with today's video. I've actually made notes and I'm a little bit scared. I think this part of England my brother's in is 5 hours away, but I guess you're only 4. I think the time across the UK is universal. It's the same, so no matter where you are in the UK, we're that small that the time shouldn't change. I don't think so anyway. Someone that's a little bit more educated than me might say different, but I'm pretty sure no matter where you go in the UK, the time stays the same. Right, so I've actually planned, I've done notes for this video. I'm a little bit scared, a little bit nervous because I don't think I have ever gone this in-depth and personal with running a small business before. So I've kind of had to make notes so that I can work out where to start. And yes, thank you, Joanne. Thank you for confirming that. If you have questions throughout, please feel free to ask them because I'm going to just try my best to explain the journey that I've been on and answer any questions you might have really around the financial struggles of being a small business. This video was requested by Emma Jane. No, it wasn't requested by Emma Jane, it was requested by Jeannie. What am I saying? And to be honest, I've wanted to make this video for a really long time. I wanted to make it over on YouTube, and then funnily enough Jeannie asked me, can you talk about it at some point, and then Jeannie joined us on Patreon, and I was like, while I'm on a bit of a YouTube hiatus, is that the right word? I thought it was the perfect opportunity to just do it kind of on the lowdown. This is a topic I've never wanted to talk about publicly, simply because it is kind of personal, and I'm going to be talking about the emotions and everything, and I've never really wanted to come across as like entitled or, oh, poor Ellis. I don't want any sympathy for it. I don't want people to be like, I'm very lucky and very fortunate for what I do have in life, and I've always tried to hang on to that every morning before I do any work. I have a little bit of mindfulness, and I just remain thankful that I'm able to call this my job. So at no point have I ever wanted to like go onto YouTube and talk about the struggles just for someone to come along and be like, well, at least you get to do that. Do you know what I mean? People on YouTube can be, as we've established, they can be quite, it's hard when you're just watching someone to kind of get to grips with what they're trying to say, and it might be totally misunderstood. So that's why I've not talked about it before. So I guess I'm going to take you back now to like 2017 when I left my job, because this time sort of 2 years ago was when I was like, I literally cannot hang on any longer. I need to leave my job. And one of the things that stopped me was like, I'm not gonna have any money. I'm literally gonna have no money at all. So what I did, we moved into this house in the January, and me and James had a sit down, and we were just like, I want to be out of this job by Christmas, because in my job I had to work over Christmas. Never got anything extra or any sort of thanks or appreciation for doing that, but I spent time away from my family, time away from loved ones around Christmas time. The year before, my granddad had died as well, and it just became so clear to me that Christmas is valuable and it's time to be spent with family. And I'd worked 5 Christmases in a row, so I was like, I do not want to have to do this again. I appreciate some jobs you do that, but I was just like, I've done 5 years now and literally it's not appreciated, so I just want to be gone. I want to be gone by Christmas. So I kind of planned to have as much money built up as possible in my bank account as like a safety net, which I think if you ever research tips for starting your own business, a lot of people will probably say to you, build up some sort of safety net, build up a financial like pot of money to fall back onto, because sometimes, I think more often than not actually, but people don't talk about this, so that's an assumption I've just made, that people don't talk about it, so I'm just assuming here, but more often than not I think things are quite slow to begin with, and if you go into starting a small business expecting to make money straight away, it's not always the case. So I'd kind of planned to have a bit of money saved up. To cut a long story short, because that is probably a story for another time, I left my job 6 months earlier than I had planned, literally because of my mental health. I'm just going to shut the door because the dogs have gone now. I always feel bad when I lock the dogs out, but now they've actually voluntarily left, I can just shut the door and eat my crisps in peace. But yeah, I'd wanted to get like 6 months extra wages, which if you can kind of imagine, 6 months worth of saving is quite a lot. I'd had sort of X amount of money, I won't go into too much detail, but X amount of money I wanted to have saved up as a safety net, and I had about a third of that. So to be honest, I didn't get off to the best of starts with trying to make this a business that I was doing full time. I think in the early days this held me back a lot because I wanted to buy more stock in, I wanted to get new products in, I just wanted to, you have to spend money on a business. It's something that I'm doing anyway. Not all businesses, and I think if you're like a freelance artist and you already have your supplies anyway, if you're not running a shop and you're just, you know, doing freelance work, you don't have to buy that much in. But if you're running a physical shop, you do have to research products to get in and obviously buy them in, and you need the money from somewhere initially, which is why when I had a job it was much easier to buy products in. I used to spend quite a lot of money actually when I was working, and I got paid weekly as well, so I always found it really easy to manage my finances. I was always like able to pay my bills, I was always in a really good position, and then I knew when I left my job that I would have to kiss that goodbye. That's kind of what took me a long time to like bite the bullet and just be like, I can't live in the corporate world anymore. So we cut back a lot. I've cut back on a lot of luxuries, and this is what I didn't want to talk about in a YouTube video, because it's not sob story, it's just life, isn't it? I've cut back a lot. It's something I don't talk about because people have it much worse than I do. I'm not struggling by any means. There's a roof over my head, I'm warm, and I have food in the fridge, and that is so much more than what some people have. So I've never wanted to sit here and publicly say I struggle with money, because if you look at the bigger picture, I'm in a very good position, and I'm very fortunate to live in a country where this is just like I live a normal life. Does that make any sense? If you guys are in, if your country is, you just feel comfortable and you're able to live a pretty good life. That is why I've never wanted to talk about this. But when Jeannie came to me and said, can you please talk about it? I was like, yes, I will talk about it, because it does need to be spoken about. I think if there was more content like this out there, then learning how to overcome, I'm going to call it the emotional roller coaster of running a small business, because it's not all the time struggle. Sometimes things are great. So over time I've kind of had to learn how to overcome these obstacles when it goes quiet. I mean, I'm getting to a point now, and it's been nearly 2 years since I've left my job, but I'm getting to a point now where I've noticed patterns, and I think you guys will as well. If you have your own business, you might think, God, I was at this stage years ago and I'm much happier and comfortable now. If you are just planning how to go self-employed and you're planning to make the leap soon, you will notice in your business that there are peaks and troughs. So for me personally, I know that November is one of my best months because it's the lead up to Christmas. But I also know that December and January are like graveyard. It's like graveyard time. So because of that, I'm able to plan a bit more, be extra careful with the money that I do have, and just plan ahead. And therefore, it doesn't come as such a massive kick in the face when things are quiet. I'm not there panicking as much. So I think that's one of the main things I've had to learn, is peaks and troughs do happen, but kind of you just have to learn to ride with it. Something that I wish people, this is why the main reason I wish people would talk about this, is because I've only just got to a stage now where I am comfortable, maybe not 100%, but I'm comfortable when things are really bad. When things are really quiet, I'm like, this is just how it is. And I don't know if Mark, are you here tonight? Mark's just moved house. He's one of my patrons. He's just moved house and he's struggling to get internet. So I don't know if he's here or not tonight, but credit to him for saying this. He was like, Ellis, you need a mental health toolbox. And I was like, oh my God, that is an amazing idea. So my mental health toolbox it does apply to this. And when I'm struggling with anything, I go to my mental health toolbox, which is kind of more of it's not a virtual thing, but it's like just a list of activities and a list of things to do that aren't so consumed with business. So I like to bake cakes, and I like to do knitting, I like to do scrapbooking, things like that. Just have things in the toolbox that I can mentally open, go in there and be like, right, I can do this, this and this, because you have to step away when things are quiet. You can't just sit and fizzle in it, because you'll go round and round in circles wondering what you're doing wrong. I think it's healthy sometimes to take a break and just walk away for a bit, because in the early days I was like, had no one to talk to. I wish people would do more videos like this and just say it's normal and tell everybody that everyone goes through the same sort of patterns. But I don't know if you guys have managed to find any content like this. If you have, let me know, because I still struggle with it too. That nobody talks about this, whether it's an embarrassment of looking as though they're failing, because that's gone through my head too, like, can I be so outspoken about when things are really quiet, because will it just look as though things aren't working and things are failing? And especially with real life people like family and friends who nobody really believed in me anyway. When I handed my notice in, both my parents were like, what the fuck, Ellis? I was walking away from a very good job. I was putting myself in a position where I wouldn't have a regular income. Both my parents were like, you are making a mistake. And because of that, I've always been like, I can't tell anyone. I can't talk. This bit of hair here is really annoying me. I've just always felt like I can't share when I'm struggling, and even if I'm not struggling really badly financially, sometimes it gets to you in here, and that's what I wanted to talk about mainly today. Let me just highlight off the stuff that I have gone over already, because I've got a list here on my notebook, and just so I'm not going round and round in circles. Blah 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 blah. So, in fact, we've only just really, this is going to be a long video as well, you guys, I am sorry. Let me go through the list and we'll talk about things in a more constructive manner. So we've just spoke about actually taking, know when to step away and take a break. I think this is really important. So when you are feeling as though things aren't really going to plan, something as simple as going to a coffee shop, maybe with a notebook, maybe just with a book, maybe with your iPad if you like to draw, or a sketchbook or whatever, and just take yourself out of that environment. Stop being so consumed by everything going wrong. It really does help. I know it sounds like a total pile of balls, because I was like, how can going to the coffee shop help me? But sometimes just going into a different environment, like just observing everybody else going about their daily business, sometimes a bit of inspiration comes and you feel ready to tackle it again. So I'm just going to take that off the list. And also, yeah, training the mind to recognise the peaks and troughs. So let's go back to what I was talking about. I'm such a scatterbrain. I'm so sorry if you're sat there like, Ellis, what the hell are you talking about? But I've never had anyone to talk to about this. James is like my biggest supporter. How did you keep yourself from quitting in the beginning? It's such a slow start. I will talk about that as well. That is a really good question. I think, in fact, I'll answer it now and then I'll go back to talking about James. But I think because I've understood now that nothing in this world is ever going to make me happier, I don't think. Obviously, never say never. But the way I've always felt about art, and the way I've always felt about the expression of art and working for myself, and the determination to not go backwards into the corporate world. I think 5 years in the corporate world was enough for me personally to just be like, I don't belong there. And that really drives me. What also really drives me, that moves quite nicely on to talking about James. We have, I don't think I've ever disclosed this piece of information, but the goal for me and James is for him to do this with me. That might mean in the future that we do live videos together. James doesn't want to be on YouTube. James doesn't want to be in the public eye. He doesn't want to be on social media. It's very weird actually. Some people have managed to track him down, and I don't know why either of us are that interested that people would go to that much effort to track my husband down. He doesn't want people badgering him, and he doesn't want people messaging him, but I think because Patreon is a lot more private, maybe in the future he could join us with this. But the end goal for us is for him to quit his job too, because he does work because it's work, and nothing has made him more passionate job wise than seeing what we do here, and he wants to be a part of it. And I would love to be in a position one day to be like, right, you can quit your job now, or we can do this together, just make things grow, build, like move on to clothing and stuff like that. That is the dream. But yeah, back to the point, James is my biggest supporter. He's honestly, what I've just said about my parents, I love my parents to bits, but they've never really believed in me with this. They wanted me to be safe and comfortable in a corporate job where the income was regular, where I was looked after. You know, redundancy is quite slim in a company like that, and I think they were just parents worrying about my best interests and worrying that this wouldn't work. Whereas James has always been the most positive person in my life. He is just this beacon of light. However, and I feel bad saying this, he's not always been great to go to. When I've been having one of those weeks where I've been like, I've made no money, I feel guilty, I feel like I'm not able to contribute to the bills, the house, the dogs, us as people. Because I left my job, we've had to cut down so much on, we don't go out for dinner very much, we don't go to the cinema very much, we don't do very much. Luckily, we are the sort of people that like to be at home, we like to make food at home, we just don't mind. But we did used to go to the cinema a lot, we used to eat out a couple of times a month, you know, and now we don't do that unless it's a special occasion. And that's just added to the guilt, to be honest, because I know that it's because of the decision. I mean, I don't want it to sound like I did this without his input, because he was practically the one that was there writing my notice out for me. He was like, you are so miserable and literally your health is deteriorating because you're in this job. You need to leave, you need to leave. So it was like a joint decision. But because of that, I've always felt guilty, and he's never been very, not that he's lacking the understanding, but it's very much like he doesn't know how to understand how it feels to be in this room all day, focused, so tunnel visioned into the business side of things. I mean, I see the figures and I have to spend so much time looking for products and shopping around for the best prices, trying to be more ethical, trying to be more eco-friendly. I mean, that takes time and that takes effort. We're not, you just said, Emma Jane, we are the same as myself and my other half are both self-employed, so outings, etc. are few and far between. Exactly, and I think a perfect example of this, again, this is something that I wouldn't ever share on YouTube, because I just don't want to be like, I don't want it to ever look as though I'm fishing for sympathy or seeming entitled. But on Sunday night, James was like, can I take you out for dinner? This is so sad, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but he was like, can I take you out for dinner? The Kickstarter has gone so well and I'm really proud of you. Can I take you out for dinner? And I was like, I appreciate the offer. I really do. And I appreciate the fact that he's happy for us, because it is a joint thing. This Kickstarter has gone crazy and I don't know how. It's got so many pledges. I'm so thankful, because I didn't see this coming. I just kind of did it on a whim. I was like, we'll see how this goes. And it's not finished yet. And that's what held me back. I was like, I'd love to go out for dinner, but I really feel like we should wait until the end of the campaign, because then it feels like, I don't know, maybe it feels like we deserve it a bit more. Maybe when it's finished and set in stone, that it's, because people can still drop their pledges out, and that's what like makes me nervous, because we've kind of unlocked 4 designs now, and I'm like, people can still drop out. And without sounding like it's guilt tripping, if people do drop out, it kind of spoils it for everybody else, because that happened with the tote bags and it happened with the last campaign. I think it's normal, because obviously people's financial positions change all the time, which is what I'm getting at. It's totally understandable, but it does make you nervous up until the very end when everything is final. I was like, I'd love to go out for dinner, but I just don't think we should. And we spoke about it for a good half an hour. I was like, I just don't think we should do this. I think we should hang on to money that we've got right now and just be careful until it's finished, and then I can let my hair down and then I can relax and be like, yeah, let's celebrate that it's done so well. I do want to celebrate that it's done so well, but you guys, a lot of you seem to be small business owners or self-employed, and you will be able to relate to the fact that your income isn't regular unless you're very lucky and you have really good paid jobs, you know, like commissioned work or something. I just need to drink some tea because it's warm in here actually tonight. It's very warm. And here I am drinking tea, but I also have water, and I've been talking that much, I've not ate my Monster Munch. Also, if you're a vegan and you're in the UK, the Tesco's own Monster Munch are the vegan ones. The original brand ones aren't the vegan ones. Just thought I'd drop that in there. But yeah, you don't get a regular income. So what might be a good month, 1 month, might mean that next month is completely really bad. And then you're like, I can't even celebrate having a good month. I can't give myself a pat on the back for working really hard and earning this, because next month I might have nothing. It can always go like either way, and that's what terrifies me so much. Let me see. It's really hard to get your head around, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, we've been on here for 25 minutes already. Oh my goodness. But what I mentioned earlier was you just have to kind of train yourself to accept that and just be like, it is what it is. Just because it's down at the minute, it's going to go back up. I know that it's hard to keep faith and keep the optimism and the positive vibes going, but it helps. It helps me to just imagine cutting the feeling away. So like, it's just a thought, snip, you don't need that. Just let it go, and things have definitely, even my positivity and optimism within the business, I've seen a higher level of productivity in myself and the way that I work and my outlook on things after changing my mindset a little bit. Mindset is a very powerful thing, and I have noticed that when I'm in a slump, when I'm feeling negative, because I do, because I'm human, and I hate people that are like, oh, just be positive about it. We're all human. There is no light without a dark. There's no black without a white. Do you know what I mean? And for people to be like, just be positive all the time, that's impossible. Sorry, but it is. I'd love to be positive all the time. I'd love to be happy and bubbly all the time. But I've lost count of the amount of times that I've sat on this floor in tears, worrying about whether it's ever going to be any bigger than it is now, because I'm not at a stage at the moment. I know when you look at someone online, it looks like they have their lives made. It looks, everyone only shares the glossy sides, the highlights, shall we say. And it looks, when you're looking in through that tiny little window that is social media, it looks like people have their shit together. A lot of the time they don't. They're just trying to, you know, create a nice space online. I don't think it's attention seeking, I don't think it's anything like that, but I think as much as the next person, we just like to create a nice happy looking space that's ours online. Luckily, a lot of people these days, I think it's become quite a lot more common for people to be much more open and share the downsides and hold their hands up and be like, guys, I'm having a bad day. But it happens, and I am nowhere near a stage at the minute where I earned the same as at my old job. I didn't earn loads at my old job, but it was definitely the job where I've earned the most money in my life. And I'm not there yet. This year has been great already, and I'm so thankful for that. But yeah, as I keep saying, I'm not in a position yet to, I don't want to say pick up where I left off when I left my job, because that just sounds weird, but we don't do the things that we used to do, because we are currently trying to build the empire, shall we say. I'm currently laying down the foundations to try and hopefully make this a joint team woolly business, because I'd love for James to do this with me. But yeah, I'm not sure how far away that is. I really don't, but I'm just going to tick this off my list, because then I can move on to another area that I wanted to talk about. In fact, I didn't even write that one down. So when I did, this is all talking about money, what am I saying? When I did quit my job, I cut back a lot, which I've already said, so cut back on luxuries. It also kind of teaches you to be a lot more savvy with money and frugal, and I think I've only ever improved with that. Like, I've made a pledge now to only buy second-hand clothes, not just from an eco-friendly, ethical environment thing, but it's also just, it's cheaper to do that. And also I think when you've had a small business and when you've kind of fended for yourself and made your own money, it teaches you that money is very valuable. I think, like, when I used to work, I thought a tenner was nothing, whereas now a tenner, £10, $10 is a lot of money now. I think people just throw money away, and I think when somebody actually said to me not long ago that 20 quid was nothing, and I was like, it is a lot of money. So yeah, go back to the clothing thing. I've been buying a lot of not a lot, a few pieces of second-hand clothing this week. If you guys want like a haul video or a show video, whatever they're called these days, then let me know. But it definitely teaches you to become a lot more savvy and frugal. And not only that, but I kind of see it as buying second-hand is not only benefiting the environment, well, cutting back on buying brand new, it's saving me a lot of money, but it might also be helping out the person at the other end. They might not just be having a clear out of their wardrobe, they might be in desperate need of some money. They might be trying to get some money together for their kids' school uniform. They might be saving up for tuition fees. They might be saving up for their first car. They might be struggling with money really badly, and the fact that we are just literally shopping independently and with other people that might be in a bad position, I think it's only a good thing when you try and be a little bit more eco and conscious about stuff like that. Let's tick those off. Right, multiple sources of income is next on my list. So let's just talk about this. I'm pissed with YouTube right now. I feel very reluctant to go on there, as I've mentioned. I'm not going to talk about YouTube too much, but I've only just, when was it? Start of this year, got to a point with my YouTube channel where it's become a teeny tiny source of income for me. That is something else that I feel that people don't talk about on YouTube much. These are amazing. There's a bird trying to get in the door. Hello. Yeah, that'll be it, won't it? She's had the crisp packet again and she's back. YouTube has only just got to a point with me, so I've had my channel now for, it'll be 3 years in July sort of time. It's only just got to a point where I can earn a few pennies with it. And the fact that I've also just got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to be on that platform anymore, makes me feel sick. It's kind of worrying because I didn't join YouTube to make money. I didn't join YouTube to have it as a job or anything. But the fact that it's kind of got to a point where I can pay my phone bill and my internet bill each month with YouTube earnings is pretty damn cool. I think James the other day was like, that's amazing that you're able to make a few pennies back from just creating content, and we'll see about that. Jackie has also messaged me. I don't know if you're here right now, Jackie, because you're working right now, aren't you? And you're popping in and out of the video. But Jackie's asked what am I going to do about YouTube, basically, and if I stop doing YouTube, how do I plan on driving traffic to Patreon? Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong you guys, but I think most of you have come from YouTube, and I'm in such a pickle at the minute because I don't know what to do about it. I don't want to go on there and force myself to make videos because of money, because I'm not that way inclined anyway. I can't fake happiness, I can't fake being bubbly. I just have to find, I film when it comes to me. I film when the time is right. Like, I can't sit all day every day filming videos. It could never be my full-time job, I'll tell you that now. Jackie's question, she's right to ask it, fair enough. And it does worry me. How am I going to drive people to Patreon? To be honest, you guys, just human to human now, I am blown away by the support that I've had already from you guys. There's like 45 of you now, and that just blows my mind, because not only do you help each month with the financial roller coaster, hopefully I give you back. Yes, you found me on YouTube, blah 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 blah. You have most followers on your personal Instagram. The thing with my personal Instagram, just very quickly, oh God, I've got a dead leg. Has anyone else got their pyjamas on? Because I definitely have. The thing with my personal Instagram is it's just crawling with bots. It's completely it's like it's got a disease. I don't use my personal one as much because the engagement is much lower, and I don't know why, but my business account, Pastel Elixir, just the engagement is much higher. So because of that, I don't tend to use my business one as much. But yeah, Instagram I think is the second most powerful form of, I'm going to get hiccups again. Can we just have one video where Alice doesn't have hiccups? Yeah, it's a really good question, and I'm going to try and drive it through Instagram. And obviously I would love for Patreon to grow, but I also, I feel weird for saying this, but we're being honest and open right now. I didn't expect to get so many of you guys, and if this is the stop point, if we never go beyond 45 patrons, I am eternally grateful for each and every one of you, because I just never thought one person would join. Honestly, I didn't. And what you allow us to do as a family here, you allow me to just not worry so much each month, not worry myself sick, but also you get behind the business more, which I think is super cool. You guys get to see projects that are going on before anyone else. You get exclusive goodies every month and just content. I hope that I am able to give back to you guys as much joy as you give me. I hope I'm able to give it back. But Patreon, if you haven't set a Patreon up, give it a try, because I think we're coming up actually to the 1 year birthday mark for my Patreon page, and I think again it was my friend Mark that was like, have you ever thought about setting a Patreon page up? And I was like, no one's going to want to see me. Nobody's going to want this on their newsfeed every single day. And honestly, I felt a bit weird being like, give me your money every month and I will give you things back. It just felt weird to me. Whereas I think now I've been doing this for a while, it doesn't feel weird anymore. It feels like I've been amazed at how much content I've been getting here. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you like it, and I like to give you guys as much as I can. Sometimes I'm like, am I giving them too much? Are they getting pissed off with me? But I guess the beauty of Patreon is you can just save it for later. It's not going anywhere. It's on the home page all the time. You can just scroll down and catch up whenever it's convenient. I was thinking that too, which scares me and puts me off. I think if you have ever wondered about Patreon, give it a try, set one up, because this time last year I was talking to my friend Mark and I was like, nobody is going to want to sign up. And then I think I got a couple of patrons. I think Sue and Greg, bless your hearts, I think you were the two people to join me on Patreon, and I cried. I was like, why would they want to do this with me? Why would anyone care enough? Because I'm just a tiny ant on this world, and why do I matter to people? What makes me special enough for people to want to sign up with like a membership on Patreon? Just give it a go, guys. You never know what will happen. If you told me this time last year that you can have 45 patrons, I would have laughed in your face. Right now I can't make my mind up whether I want tea or water, so I'm going to have both. But yeah, I have multiple sources of income, which I think is pretty crystal clear, to be honest, with artists these days. I think they make it quite clear that it is sensible to have multiple sources, and not just from a financial point of view, but I have my blog and my YouTube channel, and I do the shop as well. I don't rely on commissions. In fact, bit of a secret for you guys, I don't like doing commissions very much. I prefer to work on designs that fill me with joy. As Marie Kondo says, if it doesn't spark joy, then get rid of it. Some people love doing commissions, some people hate it, and I fall into the hate category. I did some last year, but it honestly fills me with so much anxiety about kind of creating what the client has envisioned. Really puts me off, and I think it's the lack of confidence. I'm like so full of self-doubt that I'm like, what if I can't achieve what they want me to do? Maybe in time I can open my books up again and do commissions. I also thought about, let me know if this interests you guys, but creating another patron tier. So again, I don't know if it's something anyone would be interested in, but this was an idea my friend Mark had again. He's like my own personal counsellor. But there are the cherries. So if you remember when I added the sweetie icons to each tier, I was like, maybe I should add a higher one that is the cherries. But I thought about opening it up to commissions. So obviously you can dip in and out each month of that one, but you could receive a commission from me each month, or just 1 month if you wanted. That was an idea that we've had, me and Mark, while discussing. He's on Patreon too, so we can kind of bounce ideas off each other like that. But I was like, oh, mate, I do need to build some confidence with commissions, but that is another source of income. What else do I do? The blog stuff is awesome too, because when I get fed up with YouTube and various other things, Patreon's been great actually, because it is kind of like a blog, and I can just either do newsletters or videos, or, you know, favourites. If you have not watched, well, if you've not seen the sketchbooks tours post for this month, go and have a look at it, because it is juicy. There's like artwork in there that's over 10 years old. It's crazy. But yeah, the blog has been a really cool place. I've made not loads of money off my blog, but sometimes I've had opportunities come along where brands have paid me to create content, and that's been amazing. Again, that's something else that I just never thought I was capable of, and I just always thought, what makes me special enough for people to want content from me? I think the moral of the story is, though, just give it a go. And if you are a creative especially, give Patreon a go. As I was saying, I don't know if I've already mentioned this, I don't think I have, but if it's not just a financial perspective, it's good to step away from certain areas. So I always try to see Patreon as like one thing, and then I see YouTube as one thing. I don't see it as a collective, even though at the end of the day, it is a collective, it's all part of the business. I see it as different sectors. So if I'm feeling pissed with YouTube, which I am right now, let's say it again together. Repeat after me. We're pissed with YouTube. I step away from it and I focus on something else, and it's so good for the mentality to just focus and channel all of your energies and efforts into something else. I highly recommend having different areas to focus on. Whether it makes you money or not, sometimes I get so much joy out of just pinning on Pinterest. I have a whole board covered in Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders, and I'm not sorry about that. But sometimes I just step away and I go and do that for a bit. It makes me happy. It's kind of creative. Just have something else to focus on. Let me know if you guys are on Pinterest, by the way. Did I say Patreon or Pinterest? You fall down the rabbit hole on Pinterest and it is crazy. I just spend hours on there, but let me know if you have Pinterest and I will go and follow you over there. Let's talk about, hang on. So let me see. Do you know what? I'm all over the place. I should have probably structured this a little bit better. Oh, I spoke about that. Blah, 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 blah. I think why I felt guilty. What's your username? Mine is ellisjade_, I think. So I'll find you on there as well after this video. Oh my god, that is a little bit vibrant. Let's put the computer to sleep. I think I felt guilty about leaving my job because jobs are hard to find. Livy, did you get that job, by the way? Did you get the bakery job? Because I've been thinking about you, but I also fully appreciate that jobs are so hard to come by, and I was just about to eat a crisp and realised it was probably foolish, but walking away from a job, knowing that it is easier to get a job when you have a job and all that jazz, I was like, I just felt guilty that I walked away from that. Kind of going a little bit more personal right now, but today I took my dad out for lunch, and it was like a belated birthday lunch thing. So it was his birthday in January, and I gave him his prezi and stuff, and I was like, come on, I'm going to take you out for lunch. We went to Wagamama's. If you have Wagamama's, let me know if you have it in your country, because it's my favourite place to go and eat, because Japanese food is my favourite. But we were sat having dinner, and he was like, I'm paying for this. And I was like, oh hell no, I'm paying for this. And I was like, Dad, I'm having a good time at the minute. I'm able to go out and treat my family member to lunch, which I've not been able to do for so long. But then I also made this choice to be like this, which again is why I've never wanted to go on YouTube and talk about this, because some people lose their jobs. Jobs are hard to come by. Sometimes people are made redundant. I walked away from a really good job at the end of the day. I mean, I fought really hard to get that job. I interviewed for it 3 times, and it was like a panel process thing. So just because you jumped through the first hoop didn't mean you had the job. You had to jump through 3 different hoops. So I did that 3 times, 9 different things, if you're gonna do the maths there, if you're in the States. But I was like, I think in a way my parents, my dad in particular, was like, I'm going to pay for this. I think he must have felt guilty or something. I was like, Dad, it's fine. Like, I've had a really good month. I want to treat my father to some lunch out. But yeah, it makes me feel really nice to be able to do that. But I think he worries about me because it's quite an old-fashioned way of thinking sometimes. I mean, my nana doesn't understand it at all. And she, back in the day, ran her own factory. She made baby clothes with my granddad. And even it's not even that much, it's not a great deal of time, is it? But she always tries to have the business chat with me. And I can just, with all due respect to her, I know she's trying to help, but with all due respect to her, it's just so clear and obvious that we're just from different times. And again, people think I'm a twat for leaving a really good job, and that is why I'm never very outspoken about any struggles that I do have, because I just don't want it to look like, well, you got yourself into this mess, you made your bed, you lie in it, kind of thing. Do any of you guys, let me just catch up on some comments, because I've been just chatting away. Joanne, you should definitely set up a Patreon. I love watching your videos. Thank you so much. I love chatting to you guys. I love hearing from you as well. It fills me with so much happiness each and every day. I'm just like setting Patreon up, just trying to work out the tiers and what content to do. Sketchy. That's a really good idea, Joanne, and I totally back your decision. I think you just never know what's going to happen. And it's really refreshing actually, just to see so many different people these days creating content. It's greater to see. I mean, the internet used to scare like my mum's sort of generation, so whether you're like the same kind of age as my mum or whatever, but it used to scare a lot of people, whereas now I'm seeing so many people are getting themselves on YouTube, and it must be such a nice feeling to see people of a similar age. And we have such a diverse collection of ages on my Patreon as well, which just again blows my mind, because I'm so thankful for all of you, and thankful that hopefully it's hitting the spot for all of you, considering we are such varied age groups. But it must feel so nice to be able to see relatable content from people your own age and within like similar interests and things, because I don't know, I just can't imagine being Zoella, for example. I can't imagine being her full stop, but she is still trying to appeal. It looks like this from an outsider looking in. I don't know her personally, I don't know her business strategies, but from the outside looking in, it just looks like she's still trying to appeal to younger children, and I just can't get my head around that, because she's nearly 30, I think. Which, this is kind of off topic, but let's just go with it. Which is why I have quite a lot of respect for Louise Pentland, who is one of the very few bigger YouTubers that I still watch, because she did a video, I think it must be a couple of years ago now, but she basically said, I can't carry on relating to kids anymore. And what I say by kids, Margaret, it's your birthday, isn't it? Is it your birthday today? I told James as well, I was like, it's Margaret's birthday today, we're doing a live stream. Happy birthday if it is, I hope I've not missed it, depending on the time where you are. Happy birthday, Margaret, I hope you're having a splendid day. I will have some cake for you, well, virtual cake, I don't have any cake, but I'll have a Monster Munch instead. But yeah, Louise Pentland, she did this video where she was like, I can't continue to make videos for kids anymore, I can't continue to appeal to teenagers anymore because I'm not a teenager. And she was doing content now, or she's still doing it, on motherhood and being an adult and just a lot more grown up things, that it's just so refreshing. It's nice to kind of grow with that person and see content from somebody that is talking sense and not just saying, here's my new lipstick, go and get one, it's £30, because that's not relatable. So I think social media is coming a really long way, and more people are joining, which I think is fantastic. I just wish people would talk about this a bit more, talk about the financial struggles in general. It's not just small businesses. I think we live in, is the term climate? The current climate is a tough one to be a part of. So many people struggle, homelessness is on the rise, stuff like that, and I don't know, this is like, I don't want to be one of those people that's like, I donated to charity the other day, but I wasn't in the best of positions to donate to charity. I'm kind of person, maybe this is shallow minded, but I'm like, there are people out there like footballers that earn millions every week. How much do they donate to charity? Do they donate to charity? And it just sometimes feels like it's kind of left for people like us that are just average to donate to charity and things. But I was like, no, they need it more than I do. I'm quite happy giving away a few quid I gave it to the horse charity, but they were like on the verge of closing. That is a financial struggle. The climate at the moment is really bad. People, I think, people don't donate to charity in cold hard cash very much, and if they do, it's kind of, you're shunned for talking about it anyway. People are accused. It's like when people say, oh, I gave a sandwich to a homeless man today. People are like, you're only saying that to make yourself feel and look good. Feels like today you can't really share or do anything without being shot down for something or another. But yeah, I think the more we talk about this, hopefully the less taboo and the less embarrassing it gets. But I wanted to do this video just to kind of tell you guys that I struggle too. I love Sarah Faber. Do you guys watch her too? It's nice seeing freelance artists starting family and seeing both sides of those coincide. It is really lovely, and that is also something that I'm glad that she is. I don't know whether she'll share much of the life with baby. I'm sure she will, because it's going to be a massive part of her life. My dad's just texted me saying porridge. Are you alright there, my love? Like, porridge? He was telling me this morning that he was having porridge for breakfast a lot with golden syrup. I was like, good for you, father. Do you guys watch By Bun? Because she has kind of said that, yes, I'm having a baby, but it's not going to be a baby channel. It's not going to evolve into, it's not going to just be baby related content. Which is, like, I think that's really good of her to say that. I don't know if Sarah Faber has said anything about that, but I personally would really appreciate content from Sarah Faber to see how she tackles being a vegan mum and most likely raising a vegan baby. I don't know, but obviously that's probably a position that we're going to find ourselves in one day. And the idea, the thought of announcing to people we're having a baby, we're probably going to raise it to be vegan until it's old enough to make its own decisions. That's a conversation for another time, because it just terrifies me. And it's great actually that people like Sarah Faber do make content. She said it won't be a family channel, but she'll add a little bit into her vlogs. I think that's probably the best way, isn't it? And I do really appreciate it about people. I've never felt annoyed at anyone for like changing the content style that they do make. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head anyway. But Louise Pentland, when she said I'm not doing content aimed at my younger audience anymore, I'm going to roll with the fact that I'm getting older, and I'm going to roll with the fact that I want to connect to people my same age. I thought that was really good of her. Wow, these are going soft because they've been open. I mean, I've not been eating them. Sounds important. Don't you worry, Margaret. You can watch the whole video back if you like. Whenever we eventually stop this video. I've got jacket potatoes in the oven at the moment. Let me see. We've done peaks and troughs. Let's get back onto the topic. Recycling saves money actually, so we all know by now that I'm a little bit of a recycling freak and I'm just trying to get better. I'm not perfect. Tiny disclaimer, nobody's perfect, are they? But this is actually, bear with me a second, because I recycle a lot. Oh my goodness, let me just move that out of the way. Are you ready for this? So I never buy bubble wrap in for my mugs, I mean. So when I'm shipping my mugs, I used to use bubble wrap. I've only ever bought one roll in, and it was a small roll. And I've consistently been like, I need to change this, I need to change this. But look at this, you guys. This entire box, I mean, it's a big box, is full of bubble wrap. And I just like, if I ever get anything delivered, that is all from deliveries that I've had where, you know, I can make the rules of my own business, but who am I to tell another business to stop using plastic? They'll do what they want at the end of the day. I wouldn't know where to start with trying to encourage people to make better choices, but all of this, I've got hiccups. I just go through it. When I get stuff wrapped in bubble wrap, I go through it and make sure it's not tatty, make sure it's usable, and I just reuse it. And it's a great way of saving money, because at the end of the day, every single business expense is an expense, no matter how small it is. And I don't know about you guys, but I sit and think so thoroughly about everything, which again is a massive part that you guys play, because it just takes that pressure off a little bit. I'm able to experiment a bit more with products and think, right, Patreon money, I can put that towards products. Like at the minute, I'm working towards that colouring book. I promise a colouring book will be out within 6 months. I'm positive for it. but that kind of, it reassures me that you guys are behind this and you are able to get involved so much. But let me see, what else do I do? Also, oh, this is cool. This isn't strictly business, but I had some mail today, and it was just the Kath Kidston catalogue, which I didn't even know I'd signed up for. Probably gonna cancel it. Oh, that's such a nice top. Look at this, so pretty. I'm probably gonna cancel it because I just don't want to get unnecessary catalogues through the post. Chances are I'm not going to buy from Kath Kidston because I'm on a first-hand shopping ban, and also it's quite pricey. But look at this envelope that it came in. It's just like a gorgeous pattern, and what I do is save everything so that can go in there, ready for when I just want to do some scrapbooking and stuff like that, because that's kind of my downtime. So that saves me money. And that, what is that over there? Oh, I won't share that because that is part of my Sugar and Sloth Pin Party Club box, and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But yeah, I recycle in most parts of my life, because even if it's not saving money from a business perspective, it's saving me money spending on any art supplies really. So that entire bag that you just saw is completely full of like wrappers or tissue papers, anything you can think of, and I just try and minimise waste. A few of you have just said that you save Amazon boxes. You keep all your bubble wrap, Joanne. Oh, we call you Jo now, don't we? I remember from the last video. You keep your bubble wrap, Jo. Liv, you keep all your shipping boxes. And Margaret, you too keep all of your Amazon boxes. You should see, what are those beds called? Is it a divan bed where you can lift the entire thing up and it's storage underneath? We've got one of those, and because of where James works, he gets a lot of deliveries that are bubble wrapped, because it's also like medications and things like that. So he brings bubble wrap home for me as well, because at the end of the day his business is just going to throw it in the bin. We can use it, we can make use of it, and also reuse and just encourage others to recycle. Not only is it good for the environment, better for the environment shall we say, it saves you a lot of money. So there are kind of little things here and there. I think within your own business you'll work out little tips and tricks to make yourself a bit savvier, I think. But that's something that I do, and I used to be a little bit embarrassed about it. I used to be quite embarrassed if, this is going cold, I can feel it. I used to feel quite like, is it shady or is it sneaky? Is it dishonest to reuse a mailbox? But now I'm like, no. It's showing that you care, it's showing that you care about the environment, and I don't think it's a bad thing. But let me know if you have any tips and tricks in order to save money within your business. I'm sure there's some more that I do, but even strings. So sometimes I wrap things up with string. I'm sure I've got a box somewhere. Where is it? Is that it there? Let me see. Oh my goodness, you guys, it is. Are you ready? Oh, all of this in here is just ribbons and strings. I'm probably never going to use it. I think part of it as well is craft hoarding, because I'm definitely the sort of person that's like, oh, I could use that one day. But there's so many, apart from these, that are on a roll. But there's like a cheap craft shop called The Range in the UK. If you've not been before, definitely check it out. But I just save things and use it for wrapping people's presents out. And what have you just said, Liv? Let me see your comment. I used last month's pink envelope in my journal. Oh, bless you. I thought when I read that, I was like, I wonder if you mean Sugar and Sloth pink boxes, because have I got one of those? I bloody have. So I'm going to be sending somebody's order out in a pink Sugar and Sloth box, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's still sturdy. It's still going to keep your parcel safe, and as long as it's going to do the job, and as long as it's going to keep things safe, protected, I don't have a problem doing stuff like that. And I'm really glad that you guys are on it with the recycling and just being a bit more eco-friendly. It's just, I'm glad that we are connecting on things like that, because it's savvy and it's frugal too. So with that as well, I've written down that I fully think and assess every single purchase, and you guys are probably the same with everything. God forbid I have to buy something personal in my life, because I'm the same. I think it might be a habit that I've picked up on from just being a small business, but also not knowing when my next pay packet is coming from. But I always really mull over a purchase. Like the other day I was looking at a badge press and I was looking at them for hours and I was like, they're quite expensive. And I ended up speaking to a small business friend and she was like, don't get a cheap one. So I came away from that conversation. I've heard the cheap ones are nasty anyway and they can be a bit temperamental. You can end up getting a bit of waste with them, but I was like, I don't want to spend this money. And I really think about everything, I really do. I think as well, because of the amount of time that a small business takes to research their packaging, their suppliers, their products, I kind of made this, I don't want my chacky potato to burn. What is that smell? It smells like sugar. It smells like burning sugar. Maybe I can send custard downstairs to check on the oven. But I think that is why some people get a little bit touchy and a little bit take it personally if a business doesn't want to share their supplies with you. And at the end of the day, I get it if they don't want to share suppliers with people, because so much time and energy goes into even researching where to get the best deal mailboxes from. Takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort. So for people, I mean, this sounds awful, but I think most of us have to go through the effort ourselves anyway. At the moment, I don't know what it is, but I get so many messages from people asking what printer I've got, what paper I've got, and it just kind of feels a bit lazy sometimes. I mean, I don't mind talking to you guys about it because that's what we're here for, and I know a lot of you are small businesses anyway. A lot of you have been messaging about vinyl sticker paper. I'm going to do a live tomorrow talking about product updates, and I'll talk more on the colouring book and sticker paper and all that jazz tomorrow. But I honestly don't mind talking about it with you guys. It's when complete strangers come along that you've never spoken to before. They don't say, hello, how are you, my name is, I'm just wondering, blah blah blah. They literally message, tell me what printer you have, tell me what paper you use. And I'm assuming you guys do this too, but you spend so much time, sometimes money as well, buying new things in to test them out, see if they work, see if it's cost effective, just to then go and tell somebody the easy way of doing it. Like, oh yeah, I get this paper, it'll be perfect for this printer. I'm a firm believer that you have to kind of experiment yourself and just explore it. I think exploration is a massive key word in this whole conversation. You just have to kind of muddle through and find your own way. And if you can find a little tribe of people, like we seem to have done now, to discuss, and I consider you all to be my friends too, and I honestly don't mind chatting with it amongst friends, but when complete strangers come along and they just expect the answer to be put on a plate, it's weird, I think, and it's definitely a matter of shopping around, and I can see why people get a bit upset when people just expect it to be handed to them, like, yeah, this is how you do it, because it's business, isn't it? And you spend a lot of time trying to build that, and like many of you, trying to build a little empire for you and your family, and for people to just come along and be quite rude actually. I've just stopped replying to people if I've never heard from them before, and if their tone of voice is a little bit forward and a little bit too cheeky, I just don't respond. I've got to a point now where I don't respond. Talking about money, actually, this is money related, but a brand messaged me yesterday. They're a food brand, and they asked me to do some illustrations for them, and they were like, we can pay you in food, we can pay you in our product, so basically if you do this illustration work for us, we will send you some food. And I was just like, I like their food, I'm not going to name and shame, I like what they do, I like their treats, I like that it's whole raw foods and it's a bit of a DIY, it's a bit of bacon involved, but I was like, how do I pay my mortgage with treat balls and snacks? You know, like if I went to my bank trying to pay my mortgage with food. Let me know if you guys have a hard time being taken seriously, but that is something as well that I think over time I've gained confidence in. Like initially I was like, I don't know how to stand up to these people. I've always been a bit of a pushover, whereas now I'm just like, no, you have to kind of get a bit firm and just remind people that it is a business and it is your livelihood, is it's the 1800s. We trade with food. Sometimes, like, I wish we could, you know. Joe, you also use ribbon and string. I love that we do this together, you guys. I think tomorrow, actually, when I'm talking products, I'll get the scrapbook out, because that's running. I'll get the scrapbook out and we'll just get creative together. Get yours out too. We'll do some gluing and cutting and sticking, and we'll just have a relaxing time again, because it's Friday at the end of the day. But yeah, I was like, how am I meant to pay the bills with food? One of my clients told me I work in a bank, and if one of my clients told me he only had cupcakes to pay the instalment, well, that would, yeah, it would be weird, wouldn't it? As much as I would, I think, again, going back to the whole if you're friends, if you know each other, I've got some small business friends where we have traded bits of our work, and when I say bits of our work, they've been like prints or stuff that's low cost to make, and we've just kind of sent them to each other and just traded each other's work, because it's quite a nice thing to do. You get a bit of happy mail, it's making friends, and it's also part of the small business community, which, by the way, the small business community is just unbelievably kind and positive and supportive and motivating. I love the small business community so much, and I consider you guys to be a big part of that too. But yeah, like, if you go into the bank and you're like, how am I meant to pay the bills with that? This is relevant, so I'm going to talk about it. It's also something that I did a video on YouTube a couple of years back, but I took it down because I was like, I don't want to get backlash for this. Let's talk about it. So I'm in the blogging world as well, and over the past few years, when I've had a business that's been online, I've had the most shocking amount of messages from people basically saying, can I have free stuff? Can I have free stuff? Can I have free stuff? And I got to a point where these messages aren't professionally worded. I don't consider a message on Twitter to be professional anyway. If you're going to be professional, you need to email, because as kind of social media present as we are, email is the most positive form of communication, I feel, if you're not going to do a telephone call. But they were like, can you send us this and we will write about this for you? And it got to a point where I actually didn't call anybody out, but I just did a little bit of a tweet basically saying, please don't ask small businesses for free stuff because it's rude and you're not valuing their work. And a blogger came back at me, oh my god, this still makes me fume, but she was like, you don't value our hard work and taking the pictures and writing the content and including the links and doing all this stuff, basically talking shit. And she was like, we're trying to forge our own career here. And I was like, what do you think we're trying to do? Try running a blog and a small business, then you'll understand. But it was basically like, how do you expect me to value your work if you don't value mine? I have worked with bloggers in the past. I was foolish for doing so, because I think sometimes people have a way of wording things that sounds very positive. It was back before I knew and understood that I was to ask for stats. If you're going to work with bloggers, by the way, guys, just do your research on that blogger. Ask for their stats, ask for their media kit, ask them exactly what can be expected in return. If you're going to be sending them free products that your hard work, time, effort and energy has gone into, make sure you're asking them exactly what is in it for you, as in you're paying postage to send it to them. It's also the product that they're getting for nothing. Their content needs to reflect that. So ask them about their following, ask them about their engagement. Don't be scared to ask them, because in the early days I was an idiot and I didn't think to ask these things. I sent a couple of things out to people. My god, one of the girls was 14. What was I thinking? I was just being nice. I was just being a nice person. That was a big mistake too, because then all her school friends had basically seen this blog post. I need some tea for this, my god. What is the world coming to? All her schoolmates had seen that I'd sent her free stuff, and they then came to my Etsy shop and they were like, we've seen you on Facebook and you give free stuff out, can you send us something as well? And I was just like, what a mistake to make. Don't do the same mistake that I did, but I trusted them. I was like, she's got a nice blog, she takes lovely pictures. It's not enough. Do your research on the people. But back to the point, people ask for free stuff all the time and not value in their work. And if you've been in the industry for a while, I think you pick up on vibes, you pick up on how they approach you. So in the early days, I used to respond to everybody in the same sort of manner. I would also type an email out that was like tailored to them and give them price and stuff. These days it's very much a copy and paste job, because unless I know they are someone to be taken very seriously, a lot of the time, probably 80%, 85% of the time, people that contact me are people not to be taken seriously. They end up asking for free work. They end up kind of asking you for your prices and then getting scared off when you tell them, and they're not even human enough to say thank you for your time getting back to me. Unfortunately, that's a bit out of my price range or whatever. They just completely ignore you. And since going on to this small business venture, I've really struggled with people taking work seriously, and it's the same anywhere. It's the same wherever you go. I mean, in some countries, bartering is a thing. In the UK, that's not really a done thing to barter. I mean, sometimes you haggle, but it has to be the right environment. So the Brits tend to haggle in, like, I don't think it's done at markets very often, depending on what market it is, but we do a lot of car boots. I don't know if you do car boots in your country, but it is kind of what it says on the tin. You basically pull your car up in the middle of wherever the car boot is being held, and you sell things out the back of your car. So second hand, it can be like an absolute treasure chest. You can find some absolutely amazing things there. You can find clothes, antiques, ornaments, sometimes food, all different things. But I think that's the only place. Anyone here from the UK right now, can you think of anywhere else that you would acceptably haggle? Acceptably, is that a word? An acceptable place and time to haggle and be like, actually that's too much, would you consider it lowering your price a bit? I don't think it's a very English thing to do, but yeah, back to the point, people not valuing your work is something that you're probably going to come across. And yeah, you do sometimes in the end learn to just not put much time into them back. I know it sounds awful, sad but true. Let me see, I'm just going to cross that one off. There is one more point to make on my list before I answer any questions that you guys might have. The other thing that sometimes things change in the business, and like kind of expenses, I have to now add into my expenses going to the post office, because there's a post office opposite where James works, and he was able to just take mail on his lunch break, whereas they became really unreliable. So I now have to like drive to the post office, which means that I've had to, what is going on? I've had to like incorporate a little bit. I've not changed my prices luckily, but I think I might have to in the near future. But you have to incorporate sometimes the price of the travel that it costs to get to the post office. It's not a journey to Mount Everest and back, but it's still using petrol, and I can't walk there. It's too far. It would literally take up half a day if I was going to walk to the post office. But it's something else. It's another expense that I have to calculate into my expenses, and I do worry sometimes, like, do people think my postage costs are too high, when really they're as low as they possibly can be, because postage prices are high, and I also have to drive to a post office now just to be able to deliver parcels. But yeah, loads of different things crop up all the time. To conclude, I think no matter who you are, no matter how big your business gets, I think it's just a very natural thing to worry about money. You're not on your own. We all go through it, but I think the thing to remember is know when to take a step back, know when to give yourself a little bit of love and TLC, and just, you know, look after yourself. Because as I said nearer to the start of the video, when you look after yourself, it really does show. Jackie, you've got to run meeting someone about renting a studio space. That is so exciting. Let me know how it goes, and I wish you luck with it as well. I hope it goes well. That is so exciting. Sometimes I'm like, I'd love a studio space, but again, not in a position yet. Sometimes it's, as I also mentioned, it's very easy to look at people online and think they've got it made, and sometimes some of them shoot to popularity and they do really well for themselves within a matter of weeks. To be honest, I'm glad that I'm not doing that. I'm glad that I've been a bit more like Sarah Faber, because she said in one of her stories recently that she has had a very steady, gradual growth, and I'm not the sort of person that would, excuse me, I've got hiccups still. I don't think I'd adapt easily to having a huge following all of a sudden. I think it would freak me out and I would be like, oh my god. So I'm glad that it is small and I'm glad that it is steady. Just trying to think of anything else that we might not have covered. Do you guys have any questions you'd like to ask? I'm so excited for you, Jackie, that you're going to, she's probably gone by now, but the fact she's going to go look at studio space is so exciting. Let me read Liv's comments. The only way trading works is if everything is on trading base. It's like if they gave you a house for your illustrations and another person gave you clothes and such. Wouldn't that be amazing if people said, do an illustration and we'll pay your mortgage for this month? That would be kind of similar, I guess, to paying you an actual wage. Yes, so with regards to not giving up, I think did I mention it briefly? As long as you know if it's a true passion of yours and if it is something that makes you so happy, then I don't think you will give up. That said, there's been many times where in my head there's two different things of what goes on in my head and what goes on in reality. Oh, that sounds like I'm going crazy, but in my head I worry all the time that one day I'll give up. One day I'll just be like, I can't do this anymore. Sometimes I think I can't have an online presence anymore. Bit like how I'm feeling about YouTube. I'm pretty sure, guys, because Jackie's asked a question about YouTube too, I'm pretty sure I'll go back. It's probably inevitable, but at the minute I'm going through a bit of self-doubt, and just cocooning myself is probably the best terminology to use, because I just don't want to be exposed. That is probably something that I think if I was to give up, that would be the reason why. I just don't really cope very well with having all eyes on me, which is why I'm shocked that we are doing live videos, because it's bizarre to me. But I think a way to tackle that would just be to have a word with yourself and remind yourself of the reasons that you are doing it. If there ever ends up being more cons than pros, then maybe a sensible thing to do would be to think of something else. But I don't really know how to answer the question on like seeing both sides of the what am I talking about? Have I been talking that long now that I just don't even know the English language anymore? I'm trying to kind of look at it from both ways on a diplomatic level, because sometimes for people it is the only option to give up, but I feel like I'm so full of determination to make this work. Whether working in the corporate world helped me with that, helped me to see, in fact, that's probably the better way of wording it, because we'd like a family one day. Let me try and word this as much as I can. We'd like a family one day, and when I was working at my old job, and I see it all the time anyway, but people struggle to spend time with their children. People struggle to spend time with themselves. I grew up watching my parents and my step-parents struggle to spend time with each other, and I just never want that for myself. I want to be able to appreciate life and being alive and enjoying the life that we have. This feels very philosophical and a bit too deep for a Thursday evening, but I think that's what really drives me, to be honest. Livy, my love, is the fact that I just cannot go back to the corporate world. I cannot go back to selling my soul to somebody else and helping them to build their empire, being a cog in their little system, when you can be your own. So if you are the sort of person that's like, I want my own business one day, I want to have a small business, you can bloody do it. If you like the corporate world and you like the security, that is absolutely fine too. Let me move on to your next question. But yeah, to conclude, I think I have seen and felt too much pressure in the corporate world, and have experienced, even in the short time that I was there, I was like, I cannot spend my life working for somebody else. I cannot spend my life, because you work so hard. I've got such an itchy nose again. What is it with me getting an itchy nose? Yeah, selling your soul to the corporate devil. I'm still quite young, and I am very grateful that I have realised this now and not in 20 years' time. Life's too short. When I was 17, one of my best friends died, and I think at that point, she had an accident, and I won't talk about it because I'll get upset, but at that point I was like, I want to have a life that I'm happy in. I'm happy to be alive. I've gone through depression. Sometimes I go back. I think if you have ever had depression, you might be able to relate to when people say it comes and goes, it comes and goes, and it never really disappears. You learn how to manage it a bit better, but it never fully goes away. I don't know whether I should go and check on those potatoes or not. Do you think I should? I'll be back in just a second. I can just smell like burnt sugar, and I'm like, is that the potatoes oozing? Bear with me just a second. Make sure my dogs don't actually invade the live video. I'm not a culinary genius, you guys. I'm not a chef. What were we saying? Yeah. Experiencing depression and experiencing how when you have a job in corporate world, if you have a good job, that tends to mean you have more responsibility. Goodness me, running up and down stairs, I'm so unfit, and I've not worked out for a while. Give me a slap. But even on the lowest level, which is what I was at my old job, I had so much responsibility, and it was the kind of job where I couldn't leave it there. I used to get in my car after my shift and just cry, because I just couldn't take the pressure. I couldn't switch off, and I was like, this cannot be my life for the rest of my life. The retirement age is only going up too. I don't know what it is in the UK right now, but retirement isn't like 60 anymore. If you're lucky, you might retire in your 50s. But I became so aware of how short life is when I was very young, when I lost a friend, and I just wanted to be happy. I think when you've had depression, happiness becomes just something that is so incredibly valuable. So when you are feeling a bit more positive within the depression, you just feel so much more. And I think because of my anxiety as well, I just wanted to create a world for me and my family to be in. Me and my family is in me and James and the dogs, obviously, because it's just us four at the minute. But I just wanted to spend as much time with them as possible and not be tied into a world where I answered to somebody else. And again, that's something I refrain from talking about, because I feel like that kind of mindset is a bit entitled, like, oh, why should I work for someone else? But unless I'm able to explain it on a level that deep, I don't think it's easy to understand. But yeah, that was a very long-winded answer to your question, Liv. I hope that kind of answered it. Let me see. You have asked another question. How did you grow a following big enough to keep going in the beginning? To be honest, I didn't. That's kind of when I was talking about when I left and I wanted to have more financially. In all fairness, I wanted to have more in general. I thought, and I think as well, when you start to try and build a following on social media, numbers don't matter so much. What matters is engagement. So although I have what I would consider to be quite a small following on my business page, let's talk Instagram for example, compared to other artists, I have a very small following, but I really like the engagement. So as long as you engage with people, apparently something to do with the algorithm allows you to be seen a lot more anyway. If we just paused, don't know what just happened there. But yeah, and with that comes growth. I think if you are genuine and you just share your personal, people, I've got hiccups so bad, people like personality a lot. And I think if you're genuine and you just a nice positive place for people to go, I think it gradually does grow. But I would never consider myself to have a big following initially. With regards to my personal account, it's crawling with bots at the minute and I don't really use it. I wish there was an app that could do a massive clear out for you, because it's just full of fake accounts and I don't get good engagement on there, as I mentioned earlier. But I've had an Instagram account now since, isn't it? Oh my goodness, what is going on? Did we just kill the system? That is not good. Blah 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 blah. Should we make some casual chit chat? Talk away, Margaret. Any questions you might have? This has gone so kind of off topic from financial stuff, but I'm happy just talking to you guys. You have depression, Joe, and it does, I think it is on and off, isn't it? Depression. I think once you've kind of had it been diagnosed with it, I don't know what the correct terminology is to use. I don't want to offend anyone by anything I say in this video, but I think once you've experienced depression, it does kind of come and go, and I think that just comes with peaks and troughs. As I mentioned with the business side of things, I think peaks and troughs are just life. Sometimes things go really well, sometimes things are shocking, and it's the same with health and mental health. Did I disappear for a minute, Joe? Is that what just happened? Because the phone just went really funny. Blah, 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 blah. Let me see. Brain fog. Why don't I know that username? What is your patron username? My goodness, this... Oh, I can't believe how many there is of you now. And I can never remember you guys' names by your username unless it says your name. I'm like... Eva! Have you guys watched Wall-E? Eva! Hi Eva, you darling. How are you? Thank you for joining. Have you been here the whole time? I hope that's not the first comment of yours that I've seen. Liv, you ended up leaving school, bless you, because of your mental health, because it was only hurting me, and now that I'm out. I think, yeah, once you, it's such a shame that you had to leave school, but sometimes when you've left the situation, it just becomes so much clearer to you what you want in life and what's going to make you happy, and that was me and my job. I hated school as well. My God, I would never go back to school. But I hope you're on the mend, and not on the mend, that was a bad thing to say, wasn't it? But I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're managing, and I think over time as well, we just learn what works for us and how to manage ourselves a bit better. Oh, let me see. I don't want this to fall over. It's actually amazing as well, isn't it, how many of us are touched by depression. My brother actually is in and out of 12 is so young as well. Bless you. Yeah, you are still, I don't want to sound patronising, as I always say to you, but you are still so young, and it's amazing how much you learn in that first chunk of your life. I think I always look back at my 16-year-old self, and I'm sure I'll do it again when I'm like, 40 and 50 and 60, and think how amazing is it that what we learn in life and what we learn about ourselves in life. Because when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I think I know myself, and I didn't. I feel like I know myself now much better than I did then, but I'm sure in 10 years time I'm going to look back at myself now and be like, I didn't have a clue who I was. But you have such an amazing journey ahead of you, and I'm so, obviously it's not a good thing seeing how many of you guys have been touched by depression at all, but I'm glad that we can connect and understand each other, because again, I'm sure you guys can relate, but if you try and talk to someone that hasn't gone through depression, I used to have a friend and we've drifted now, we don't speak to each other, and I'm kind of glad, but I used to try and talk to her about mental health, and she would just be like, get a grip, Ellis, just get a grip, and then I'd be like, I cannot be friends with you anymore. Obviously I've got friends that have never suffered, but they're not quite that heartless and a bit of a dick, to be honest. There's many things I've not experienced, but I like to think that I can at least say to them, this is something that I could never understand, but I'm going to try my best to be here for you. Whereas she never did that, and she was just very much like, depression is in your head, depression isn't real, depression is... So yeah, I'm glad that we have each other to talk to about it, and just not be a taboo place with regards to mental health as well. You'll learn to cope with it a lot more as you get older. That is very wise words, Joe, and thank you for that. And we're all here for each other as well. I hope, anyway. In fact, I know we are. We're all here for each other. So yeah, this video, who doesn't like that I'm in therapy and on antidepressants and all that? I think, to be honest, Sticker Genie, hello my lovely. It's not easy, is it, for a parent to see their child going through anything, I think, anything negative, and I honestly relate to you guys so much. This is very personal, and I just hope it doesn't leave this live chat, but a few weeks back I mentioned on YouTube that I was going through a rough time with a family member and that it was something personal and I didn't really want to talk about it, but basically my brother, my full brother, because I've got two half siblings, they're the diabetics, the two younger half siblings, and then there's me and my brother, and he's been in and out of a mental health hospital for the past few months, and I've just had so many messages and phone calls thinking that it was like the end, and it's quite hard to talk about, but my brother is in a bad way at the minute, and yeah, I just kind of want to make it clear to you guys that mental health is not taboo here, and I hope it's a safe place that you can come and talk. And honestly, I don't care what time of day it is, if you ever need someone to talk to, please send me a message, because I would hate for anyone to ever feel like they're on their own, and you guys are so bloody lovely. Look at you all going. It really warms my heart to see that you guys are just so nice to each other. But yeah, my point from just answering what Liv's just said was, I can see it's hard being a sister. It's hard, but I mean, I've suffered with anxiety and cyclothymia, actually, not something I don't share anywhere, but I suffer with extreme highs and extreme lows. But it's hard being a sister listening to suicidal phone calls from your brother, let alone being a parent. So I think parents can sometimes have a very funny way of showing that they care, or just expressing how it's making them feel if you're in a bad state, in a bad way. And sometimes, I mean, I've had countless fallings out with my parents, sweet, and I've been like, you don't understand, and you just don't like the fact that I can't manage these things, and honestly, it's just the fact that they're parents, and it scares them shitless that things aren't perfect. I think I'm not a parent, so I can't assume too much, but I think it is hard for parents to see their children going through so much. But just know that you have a nice community here, and oh, look at you guys. I've also been in a mental health hospital, bless you. My goodness. Definitely why he's in exile, Jamie. I promise that taking care of yourself is number one priority always. I agree with Jamie as well. 100%. You've got to put yourself first, and sometimes it's kind of hard to be selfish, but it's necessary as well. So many of us have been, I've never been, I mean, I went to a mental hospital, I don't know what you call them. What is the correct Can you say mental hospital? I'm not sure if you can. I don't want to upset anyone by saying mental hospital, but I did go and I had therapy with a doctor, like a psychiatric doctor, and he was an absolute arsehole. He made me feel so much worse, but I've never actually been admitted into a hospital, whereas my brother is like on the verge now. He went a couple of weeks ago and they basically were like, he's under that watch now. So in the UK you can have like mental health watch where they visit you pretty much every single day. Oh bless you. We're talking usernames again, aren't we? It's not Marble Madness. Remind me of your name. I've just been looking at some usernames. Like, I cannot for the life of me put a name to your username. I've just done that with Eva. I was like, I know that username, but I can't for the life of me remember the name. Do remind me, my lovely, because you honestly, you don't have to say much in these chats at all. We did start off actually talking about financial stuff, but we've kind of moved on to mental health, and I was going to head off, but I don't want to because we've got such a good conversation going, and I just like that you guys are all here for each other. As a parent, what you're saying is 100% true. We never want to see our kids hurt, and it's so hard not to be able to fix everything for them. My mum used to say that to me, and I know this is nothing. It's Emily. Yes, that's the one. Hi, Emily. I hope you're okay. Emily, my God. Now you've said that. Oh my God. Why didn't I understand that? Why didn't I just make that connection in Marble Madness? It's Emily. What was I saying? My mum used to say that it hurts her when she sees us in pain. And although I don't have my own children, and this is going to sound ludicrous, but whenever Vesper's never been poorly, touch wood, but Custard has before, and it just broke me. It made me feel so helpless that I wasn't able to help her. And I guess it was kind of hard because when they're an animal and you can't talk to them like you can an old enough child, you can't sit and try and reassure them. I mean, I talk to her anyway. I talk to my dogs all day, every day. I just like to think they understand and they're talking back. Maybe that's mental of me, I don't know. But yeah, it's hard, and sometimes knowing how my parents have reacted in the past, sometimes when they behave a certain way, it can make you feel like they don't care or they don't understand. A lot of the time, I think they just hurt so much from seeing you suffer and be in pain and not be able to do anything. It must feel so helpless. This, you have kids, amazing. I think raising anything has the same fundamentals. You just care about the well-being, whether it's a child, pet, or even a plant. Yes, we have plants too, and yeah, I'm glad you said that, Liv, because in the past I've been quite upset over the loss of a plant, and to somebody who doesn't care very much for plants, they might have been like, why are you upset over a plant? But it's a living thing that you're nurturing. My God, these crisps are good. Very soft now though. But oh, guess who's here? I'd love to give it crisps, but I'm not feeding my dog. Well, crap, basically. I shouldn't be eating these, let alone dog. Hello. I'll bring her to say hello, because I know you guys like custard. Come on then. I don't know if, it's a shame you guys can't talk and call her name. She's like crisps. And look who's getting ready for a haircut. Look at this beard. You've been poorly before, haven't you, my love? And oh my God, I remember one year she you can't get on that. She wants to get the crisps. Hi puppy, everybody's saying hello to you. Where's my boy? Oh, Team Vesper. I'll get him for you. Vesper, what are you doing? Come on. Come on, little boy. Hello. Come on. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, look at this little sausage. He's like, Mum, what are you doing? It's alright, you're licking your lips, I'll let you go. I don't want to stress him out too much, but yeah, Custard, mind your toes, good girl. Custard one year nicked one of her claws, and it was like hanging off, and it was really something that we should have gone to the vets for, but because if I hadn't have had my animal training background, I would have taken her to the vets, but I was like, no, this needs to come off now. And I did it myself and like disinfected it and stuff and just bandaged it up because I've had animal first aid training, which thank God it came in handy, and thank God it wasn't worse, but she was in so much pain because it was like the tip of her nail had, well, the whole of her nail had like come off, and she just didn't understand that I was trying to help her. And I think that is kind of similar to you trying to help them and they don't understand. Having a pet is good training, actually, I think, for when you do want to raise a human. It teaches you so. Me and James had this conversation the other day because he grew up without any pets, whereas I've grown up with dogs my entire life, and I think it teaches you something about responsibility and putting somebody else before yourself, which I think is such a good thing. Like, not everyone has to have a pet, obviously. You don't have to have a dog before you have children, but I know for a fact, I think I personally feel like I'm so much more prepared for when that time does come to just be able to put somebody else before myself. I don't know if that's a bit weird to say, but yeah, my dogs mean the world to me. They're like little family members, and seeing them in pain just makes me think I can't imagine what that's like as a parent, watching your child go through something that you can't control, you cannot help with it, and you cannot do anything to make it better. You were a dog mum before I had my son. Have you just got the one son, Jamie? What's his name as well? If anything, it prepares you for the amount of poop and vomit you'll clean up. Exactly. So it's not just like putting someone before yourself, but it's things like getting up in the middle of the night, and it's getting up in the morning and just tending to things. Like, somebody relies on you, and that's quite a powerful thing, I think. My dogs mean the world to me, and in a way they are my kids. Obviously not as intense as children. I appreciate children are hard work, but yeah, they've taught me so much that I don't regret having dogs in the slightest. I have a 9-year-old named Logan. That's such a cute name. Oh, bless. Does anyone else have children here? I think it's quite obvious that I don't have children. But, oh my goodness. Anastasia is one of the most beautiful names. I love the name Anastasia. Does she get called anything for short? I know I'm like that, Liv, as well. So Anastasia, it just makes me think of a princess. And 11-year-old Dylan. You guys have got awesome names. Anna, just Anna for short. Anastasia, isn't that such a beautiful name? Like, that name, when someone says that name, I'm just picturing sparkly, glittery, pretty things. I have associations like that. And I've also got names that I don't like as well, and I won't say any just in case anyone gets offended at them. But yeah, there are some names that just really, again, spark joy. Anastasia, what a gorgeous name. Have any of you guys got kids? Anyone else? I love learning more about you all as well. I really do. And since doing the live videos, I think I've learned so much more about you because we're able to talk like to each other, and it's really nice, whereas before I was just kind of doing videos and newsletters. So I think it's nice to mix things up a bit. So speaking of which, if you have, like Jeannie did, if you have any requests for videos like this, if you just want to sit down with your snacks that you end up not eating because you talk too much, but if you have any topics, and it can literally be anything at all, like if you want to talk about mental health some more, if you want to talk about, I don't know, what should we talk about? If you want to talk about bubble wrap, then feel free to pop a request over, because honestly, every Thursday I have free because James goes to his club. So we can always like make these a regular thing. If there's anything in particular that you want to sit and chat about, then that would be really nice, just to get to know you guys a bit more. And if you have any suggestions for like content, that would be awesome too, because I'm constantly trying to, I think it was Jackie actually, in fact let me just make sure I've answered Jackie's questions, because she sent me some questions before the video started. Oh my god, that screen is so bright. In fact, yeah, I think I've answered that. If not, then I will check back later on over the video and see if the Ellis show, yay! Bring your snacks, bring your drinks, bring your dog, bring your pet goldfish, bring your children. Let's all hang out together. But Jackie sent me a message and just said thank you for the content and that there was lots of it and that it was great. I hope you guys are comfortable with that. I sometimes do worry that it is too much. So I hope it's not too much, because I don't want to piss you guys off or upset anybody. But yeah, I do really enjoy talking to you all. If you have any ideas for some future videos, please feel free to let me know. I'm going to be back tomorrow. I don't know what sort of time, but as usual you'll be able to watch the video back. But I'm basically going to fill you guys in. Oh bless, thank you so much, Joe. I'm glad some enjoyment comes out of them. I'm going to be talking tomorrow about updates on the colouring book, time frames that I have. I've done a couple more pages as well, which I'm dying to show you guys, but I will be sending them to you as well over the next few months, so you can colour them in and just do what you like with them really. And I wanted to talk to you guys about sticker content, what am I talking, sticker paper, because I'm having a bit of trouble with the vinyl stickers, as I mentioned in the last live. I'm not convinced they're something that I want to stick at, but I will be sending them out to $20 patrons in your parcel. So if you are a $20 patron, I'll be sending them to you. I hope if I've got loads, then I'll try and pop some into the $10 sticker patron packs as well. But I'm trying my best to keep the parcels at a set weight, because I think maybe after Brexit happens. What the hell is happening with Brexit, by the way? I keep hearing things about Brexit and I haven't got an idea. I've heard the word Brexit that many times now that it just sounds like a cereal. I'm like, what even is Brexit? But I've got a feeling postage prices might go up. So I'm still trying to like keep the parcels quite light, and I don't want to make them too heavy, because then postage goes up even more. Brexit is an absolute mess, Joe. It's an absolute shambles. I haven't got a clue what's going on. It's starting to scare me a little bit, if I'm honest with you. That is what, thank you so much, Emily, because that is what Jackie said, that some people have a Patreon account and they just don't post on it at all, which kind of makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, because people are signing up to the content and they obviously want to hear from you, and at the very least you can do a newsletter or something and just fill everybody in. But now I've kind of got over my fear of doing live videos, I'm fully aware that I sit and talk a complete load of shite for over an hour, nearly 2 hours we've been here. What is going on? I quite enjoy them. It's just nice being people and not being this person online that nobody knows. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoy the content. I'll be back tomorrow talking about the stickers and the colouring book, and also the little not issue, it's not an issue, let's not be dramatic, what would we call it, the little conundrum, lovely typical English word there, a conundrum, with regards to the badge maker, because I was going to invest in a badge machine and I've kind of been put off the idea. But I also, oh, that reminds me, I want you guys' input, because I'm going to order some more button badges in. So buttons, da, 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 da. I'm going to be ordering, these are button badges, just in case you didn't know. These hiccups. I'm going to be ordering some more in. I just wanted to know which designs you guys might like to see. So as you know, there's been quite a few new designs since I last ordered badges in, so we're going to be talking about that. Let's just have another chat again. Get your tea ready, get your biscuits out, and that sounds really rude, get your biscuits out. I feel honoured that you make these and so much other content available to all Patreon levels. Thank you so much for that. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Let's put you, in fact I can take you off charge now, because there we go. I want to make as much content like open to everybody as much as I can, which is why at the moment the colouring book pages, we're absolutely pissed. Joe, we're so drunk right now. I was actually thinking earlier, do I go and get a rum tonight? I'm wobbling all over the place. But I don't want to exploit you guys. I don't want to just make things secret for the sake of being secret, if that makes any sense. I want it to be accessible and yeah, accessible is the word I'm looking for. I don't want to tease people, because I appreciate, again, most of this video has been about financial situations, and doing live videos doesn't cost me anything. It's not going out of my way massively, and I enjoy them, so why would I want to make it a $20 only thing? I really like the fact that you've just fed that back, so thank you so much. Unless it's something that the $10 people and up or whatever have worked towards, like as a group, I don't think I'll ever there's a word that I'm trying to look for. It's late at night and I'm like, I don't even know the English language anymore. It's not something I want to, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you don't want to say, if you want to talk to me you can pay more. Exactly, I don't want to be like that, and I don't want, what is the word I'm looking for? Do any of you guys do this sometimes? And it's got worse as I've gotten older. Liv, thank you, lucky stars, that you are so young still, because your brain is so crisp and your brain is so fresh and able to process things. Because, as I've said, once you hit 25, people keep saying this, well, they kept saying this to me, once you hit 25 it's all downhill. Not necessarily, but your brain does forget things, and I can't remember the word for the life of me. But back to the point, I don't want to be one of those people that is just in it for money and be like, oh, if you want to hear from me, if you want to get involved, then you need to be this tier. The tiers mainly for me anyway work mostly on the other content and physical rewards, and I will try and, for the life of me, keep them as fair as I possibly can until the end of time. I've been forgetful since about 10. I think we're all just like that in a way, aren't we? How do you say that? I've always, you know, when you read a word, like, let me try that again. Where's the comment gone? Myalgia. Oh my god. How can you you know, when you type things out to say it how it sounds, are you able to do that for me, Joe? Because I need to learn something. I can't say that word. Fibro. I get that far. Myalgia. Is that how? Fibromyalgia. Yes, we got it. Fibromyalgia. Let me read the rest of the comment now that I've just, you know, got over that hurdle. Is it fibro or fibro? Fibro. Oh my god, what is going on here? I get daily fog and forget things all the time. I don't know much about that condition, to be quite honest. Please feel free to educate me, because I don't know very much at all. But I can imagine it's so frustrating. The first one, fibro. Is that right? Fibro? It's times like this that I'm like, I wish I could talk to you guys. I'm going to head off in a second anyway, once I've, yes, fibro. Let me say that again. Let me go back. Fibromyalgia. We'll get there in the end. Maybe it's time I go to bed. In fact, I'm trying to go eat my jacket potato. But anyway, thank you for joining me today. I've really appreciated talking to you guys. I hope it helps as well. At the very least, I know I talk complete and utter tripe most of the time, but I hope at the very least it has helped you to just feel a bit less alone in this world where money just plays a massive part in everything, doesn't it? And yeah, we all worry, we all struggle. Nothing is sparkly 100% of the time, but at least we have each other. Am I right? So I'll be back tomorrow. Really what I needed today. I've loved to chat. Bless you, Emily. I'm glad you were able to join us. And I might speak to some of you tomorrow. I'll let you guys know a time when I know a time. For now,